What's up, and welcome to episode 19 of Brewing Through the Multiverse. I'm Mike.
And I'm your co-host Joel.
How we doing today, man? Oh my
Living.
God! Wait, I didn't grab a beer. I gotta pause this. I'll be right back. Oh my God! Okay, here we go. I'm back. I'm running through the house. My dog thinks I'm ready to play. It was chaos here for a second, but tasty jams here. Oh, how we doing, man?
Living, breathing. You got your beer. That
Yes.
was very
Oh
funny.
my goodness. Sorry, we wouldn't be brewing without the beer, you know.
Yeah, the beer.
Ah, I
What
got
are you
some
drinking
Brick
today?
City tasty jams from Brick City. It's a Jersey beer. It's fantastic. I haven't seen it in a while, and had to grab it. Horrible pour. Oh, all right, man. So since our last podcast, we played Commander.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Nice. Yeah, man. There were some good games. I'm proud to announce that my 15 loss streak is over.
Thank God. And they
Oof.
were well deserved too. Nothing was handed to you. It was hard fought and hard won, and they were great games. I said it before. I'll say it again. Your mono red Kark deck can do such crazy things, and it's wild to think it does it on such a tight budget.
Yes. Um, it's been consistent with it. It's clear that double vision is very important for that deck. Being able to cast something, guaranteed get the cast, and then possibly that card goes back to my hand, allowed me to have a lot more consistency, like actually being able to resolve something if I put mana into it, and then possibly getting it twice or three times actually.
Yeah, the triple casts were pretty oppressive.
Yeah. The other card was Harmonic Prodigy, which allows triggered abilities of shamans and wizards to happen a second time. And that was just another way of, again, saying, yes, you're definitely getting a cast, but let's see, how many. So it was fun. I really like that deck, and I think I might upgrade it a little bit more. I think it's time to just, put a few extra spells into it.
Yeah, you're not far off. Now this is the thing. Would you consider a partner for Kark to get another color?
No, no. I don't think I need it because it'll take away from the Chandra sub theme also. Um, and if I could keep blue out of most of my decks, I will.
You don't have to partner with a blue. You don't have to do blue. Do any of the colors. There's a bunch of partners.
Hmm. Well, I'll look into it. I really like what it's doing with the mono red. I don't
No,
think it
it's
needs
yeah.
another color,
I
but
would say only the other color, not even for like it would just be for support to cover some of your. You do green for ramping, or you could do white for like some of the removals, or black for a little bit of everything. Like what I mean. I feel like there's options.
I think if I did add a color, it would be white, just because getting rid of non-land permanents is an issue. Like I need to get rid of enchantments, and I can't touch enchantments.
Yeah.
So
Besides your
white,
chaos warp.
yeah, yeah. And I had Guff in there. Guff rewrites history,
Yep.
but I actually took that out because you need a target on everybody. And there was one
Yes.
time when I couldn't have targeted, and I can't have dead cards in that deck. So,
I
but
still like that card.
oh yeah, definitely, it's in other decks for sure. But in Kark, if I get doubles of it, it's not actually helping me. So
Though I get maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's just because it's a color pie thing. But I don't understand why it can't target enchantments. Maybe I'm missing something, like in terms of like a combo, or I don't know. But it seems weird that they explicitly say non-land, non-enchantment when Chaos Warp can hit enchantments, and Guff rewrites history is just, you know, Chaos Warp on steroids.
yeah, and can it, when it's going through and you cast, it shuffles that into your deck, and then you reveal until you cast them. It can cast an enchantment, right?
Yeah, it just says like a not a permanent, like the first permanent. I
Yeah.
think.
So
Let's bring it up.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, if that's the case, you're right. It's one thing that's so limiting, and honestly, the limiting factor of it is you have to do it to yourself too. So
Yes.
that's enough of a drawback to where you didn't have to take away enchantments. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
until they exile a non-land card, then puts the rest on bottom of the library in a random order.
Hmm.
Why is
Okay.
it non-enchantment? I am so curious about that.
I don't know. I don't like it though. It's a problem because enchantments are the biggest thing you got to handle. Commander is literally enchantment heaven. You have the time to do it. You can do the big ones. They affect the game. I don't know, but yeah, Clark played very well. It got me the win game one. It really went crazy. I was happy about it, and then for the rest of the day, I just enjoyed myself. Were there any cards or gameplay moments that kind of stood out for you?
Yeah, so Mark runs Chamil, the Ixalan artifact. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Chimel, I don't know. But that constant discover at the end of the end step and the fact that it happens at your end step, so I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if that artifact was made with like at the beginning of your upkeep discover whatever. But like the fact that the turn you play it, you get value out of it is really cool.
Yeah.
And that card single-handedly kept me in a game that I probably should have lost. Um, so I'm very excited about it. I decided to get a copy. I think you also ordered a copy.
Yes, I did.
What was it
Yeah.
for that reason? Because you saw it in that game and you're like, damn.
Yeah, it was undeniable. And the thing that I didn't notice was your spells can't be countered,
Yeah, that's
which
huge.
yeah, because there was a few times when Joey went to counter your shit, and it was like, no, this is going to resolve whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of that.
Yeah, I know you are. What was cool too is you were playing that with Zevlar. So what you did is before you went to end step, you paid two and tapped Zevlar, and then everything you discovered was cast on everybody. So that was super powerful. Because really, it was 2 mana to do something wild for
Yeah,
you. It was 2 mana. So
big
yeah,
fan of that
I
deck.
ordered it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Krim from MTG Goldfish for turning me on to Zevlor, but boy golly, is that a fun deck. I know
Yeah,
Grixis is like,
insufferable.
yeah, Grixis is, the bad guy colors, and that definitely feels like a bad guy deck.
Yeah, but in a very fun way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Um, th- there was a there was this thing that you were doing, and I don't know what commander you were playing for it, where you had creatures turn into enchantments or enchantments turn into creatures, and you kept on board wiping.
Oh,
And
yes. So I was playing, I haven't upgraded a Nixia deck, one of the Commander Masters precons. Um, and I think I've said this before on the cast, but I have three of the four of them. I don't really have any interest in slivers, but the three of the four of them are very fun. Um, they're fun to upgrade too. They were good base, especially the Enchantress one. I feel like it has a lot of the like the standard Enchantress like value cards that you're gonna want in most decks. So that was cool that it's like just like, hey, Enchantress beginners pack. Um, but with the two cards that ended up being huge for me that game were oh my god, it's something cacophony. The big one was City of Death from the Doctor Who precons. And City of Death, first part of the saga, it makes a treasure token, and then for stages 2 through 6, so you get 5 more activations of this thing. You make a copy of a target uh non
non-saga token.
non-saga token, exactly. So with Onyxia, bringing making her abilities as ETB, or if she attacks, you exile an enchantment, and then you make a 3/3 zombie that's a copy of that enchantment. So City of Death just makes copies of your things, and then it's something cacophony.
Yeah.
I think Cacophony Unleashed. Yes, it's Cacophony Unleashed from Commander Masters, also from the precon, was when it ETBs, destroy it, destroy all non. Oh my goodness! If you cast it, I was playing that wrong the whole time. We're learning
Ooh.
that here now, folks.
Oh, that reminds me of how turn three I cast game plan and made us all
Oh, wheel,
windfall our
yeah, we
hands.
wheel.
We all shuffle our hands in and then realize that it was assist and not what's the one less for each creature in the thing, undaunted or something like that.
Yes, that's well. Undaunted is each player.
Right, so that's what I thought it was, which would have brought it down to 3 mana, but that wasn't it. It was assist, which means other people could pay for it. So
Yeah,
once we all shuffled up our hands, and Mark was livid because I made him shuffle, and then when we found out I wasn't supposed to, we just had to go with it.
yeah.
Oops.
So with that new revelation here on the cast, I am definitely cutting that card.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because the whole point is for it to come from the graveyard. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna like be like repeatable. I don't like it anymore.
Hey man, fun or trash? What do you think of Cacophony Unleashed?
Now it's definitely trash. Definitely trash. Because this becoming a 6/6 nightmare god only when another enchantment ETBs and it's only till the end of the turn. I very rarely am flashing things in, so it's not useful as a blocker. I guess it's useful as an attacker, but for 7 mana, like yeah, you wipe everything for 7 mana and it's one-sided, so it's like similar to like Garruk's up whatever the hell the Garruk board wipe is in black that only destroys opponent's creatures.
In Garruk's wake?
In Garruk's wake, there we go, yeah. Um there's a series of single board wipe one-sided board wipes that don't that cost a shitload of mana. So it's in line with those in terms of mana cost, but I just never run those because they cost so much. And the whole point of this one was to put it in the graveyard and then like mill it and then just reanimate it a bunch of times. But now that I know that you
Yeah.
can't do that, I'm much less excited about this card. I don't think I won that game though. I'm pretty sure I did not win that game, so
Nope.
I don't feel that
Yeah.
bad. But shit.
Okay. So then what was the other enchantment that you would bring out that says sacrifice it to destroy a non black creature?
Oh, so that's Seal of Doom.
Okay. That was good with it too, because you had like 3 seals out at one point, or 2 or 3 seals.
Yeah,
And
that was very nifty.
yeah, yeah. It made it, where no one was going to swing at you because obviously any ire would draw that destruction on us. So
Unless you're playing black.
yeah, that's true. Which I don't think I played much black. I played a lot of colors that time, but I don't think I played any black besides the one Massacre Girl play, which was when you were playing Zevlar, because you took a bunch of artifacts. You kept on taking artifacts from our deck,
Yeah.
and that's how you got Chamil. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brutal.
Dude, I'm so sad about Cacophony Unleashed. It's such a cool looking card, and
Yeah,
damn it.
yeah. Another card that was cast that I enjoyed it so much that I ordered it was Bone Horde Dracusaur.
Oh, yeah, it was nuts.
5 mana, 5/5 flying, first strike. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may cast them. If you exile a creature with that way, you get a 3/1. If you exile something else, you get a treasure token or something like that. Like, there was a lot of value happening for a 5/5 flying first strike dinosaur dragon. And it was under $10, so I ordered it. I had to do it. Joey got a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, that's the problem with I don't want to call it the problem. I just feel like the dinosaur deck is very feast or famine, where he hits he ramps into like the Gishath and it hits, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, there's like 3 huge dinosaurs, and then he does it again, and you're already struggling to deal with the first like attack from a big commander, and then he can just cast it again as vigilance and haste. Like it's like what the fuck. Um, But like, there's so many times in the game where like he has nothing out, and like, or if he whiffs on the trigger, then I just feel like it's easy pickings at that point because like it's everything is so big, so you can only play so much at a time. But
Yeah.
all of a sudden, all there's like 15 dragons out, and it's like, what do you even do about that?
Well, that's enjoying the variance of Magic.
Yeah,
You know,
of
I mean,
course.
like if you embrace it, I mean, you're running Gishath knowing that you don't know what's coming out, so
Yeah, just
it's
like
part of the
Mael.
fun of it. Yeah, 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 and I mean, because Mael can be built violently, and you could suddenly have, well, no, Mael only lets one come out, right? I always think you could get two out with Mael, but it's only
No,
one
it's
creature
just
you
the
get.
yeah. You pick one.
Okay, yeah, and it happens to always be Avacyn or Blightsteel.
Yeah,
It seems what she likes to lay the most.
I get a void when we're out there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right, man. So that was a good commander. Now, unfortunately, we weren't able. I know Friday we were supposed to. Hey, is that still on the table for Friday?
I already invited other people.
Okay. All right. Good. 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 Okay. Because I was gonna try to like finagle things and make it work, but I really can't make it. But
No, yeah, I invited other people. We're gonna play
okay.
the Fallout decks.
Nice, man. Nice. I'm so excited to get mine. I just got confirmation that they're shipped out. I'm
Word.
ready to rip it apart.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And
So, okay, so here's the question: are you keeping them together for any amount of time, or are you immediately just going to Brew City?
Um, I want to keep them together, but I don't know how well I have self control. Once I start looking through the cards and I start seeing what I want, like I said, I'll probably shred it apart and then maybe put proxies in it or something. But as I'm saying that, I think I'm just going to mutilate them.
Yeah, I was really tempted because, like I said, I was gonna build the Earl deck, and I have the Scrappy Survivors is a great base for that, and I was like, well, I already have like a lot of good stuff to put in there. Do I just rip it apart now? But with this game tomorrow, the fact that we're gonna get to play all the precons, I'm likely gonna rip up like two of them, and I'll probably keep two. I'm at least gonna get rid of all the tapped lands. That's like fuck that.
Yeah.
All the tap lands are gonna go, and I might leave Caesar and the mutant one alone. Otherwise,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to play them pre-con and then go away with it. Now, Saturday morning, I'm going to be with Connor and Melissa. I'll hopefully I get them on Friday and I'm able to play them. If I can't, I don't know. Maybe I'll keep them together just one time so that we could bash them together.
yeah.
But I don't have a mute button. Sorry. Oh, I do have a mute button. Look at that. It's right there. Um, but yeah, so I'm. The problem is I'm brewing really hard with those cards, so I probably will shred them up. Mute button. Here we go.
Wow, technology.
Oh my god, that was great.
Who needs an editor?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we we run it live every
Every
week.
time.
There
Yeah,
is
you're
no
getting
such.
the raw deal, people. The
Yeah,
two of you that are listening to this, raw. We're
yeah.
discovering mistakes that we made in games.
We're running around the house getting beer because
Beer.
we
Yeah,
forgot the most important part.
this is the realest Magic podcast, I could say.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
getting the
We're number
raw.
one in realness.
That's the only metric.
All right, so I'm gonna go to Arena Standard real quick, um, just to mention I have been playing a little bit of Standard. Things are very powerful and aggressive. I haven't really been noticing what's been playing around, and everything reset, so I'm back down to like silver, or no, I just hit gold. So I don't know how authentic what I'm running against reflects what's in the meta, but I took my Rakdos disguise deck and I added green.
Okay.
There was one
Jund.
card, yes, and there was one card in specific that made me do it. I opened up a pack on Arena, and it was the rare in my pack, and it was so awesome that I decided I needed to get it. And I'm trying to pull it up. It's like Elder Ancient something. I'm going to pull it up right now. But so honestly, what it ended up doing was it allows me to keep my Rakdos. I took out some of the disguise cards that weren't as effective, that were kind of like a waste of a disguise card, almost like a, draft shaft stuff.
Yeah.
But they were disguised, so it helped me do what I was doing. All right, so Mythic Spoiler just wants to give me Fallout. Murders, please, murders. But I want to highlight this card because it really is. It's a little overpowered for what I'm doing, and my standard deck got better by adding this. So it deserves a little shout out here. It's an ancient old Gruul fella. Yaris, Roar of the Old Gods. It's 2 red green, Centaur Druid. It's a 4/4 for 4. Other creatures you control have haste, which is one of my favorite lines on Magic cards by far. Whenever
Yeah.
one or more face down creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So ultimately, it's saying disguise, swing, and if it hits, I get a card. The second part says whenever a face down creature you control dies, return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control if it's a permanent card, then turn it face up. So ultimately, you disguise a card, you swing. If they block it, it dies and then comes back flipped. And if they don't block it, you draw a card. So, I mean,
Is it
it
doing
says
work?
it's yeah, it is because for the most part, the first time they don't block it because it's a 2/2, they don't know what's going to happen, or they do block it and then it suddenly comes in flipped as a 6/6 with reach or something like that, or when it enters, it's a 6/2. That it's it's nice because the way it works is it returns face down and then it flips, so it'll trigger any flip triggered ability in addition to getting the full body for no mana.
Yeah.
So as long as you're running the right disguise cards, everything that you're doing, whether you swing and just hit for 2, but also get a card, or it gets blocked and killed, or sometimes they're like, okay, I'll block it and kill it, whatever, and then you transform it while you attack with it, and now it kills it kills their thing. You already have it flipped, so I like it. Disguise is still viable, and I think when rotation happens, disguise might be a little bit more prevalent.
Okay.
So that's it.
I
Keeping you
have to
updated on the
I
disguise.
have to ask my question is how much Esper mid range do you run into?
A lot more than I want to right now. It's actually getting worse.
Because again, local LGS, I believe the most recent like standard showdown or whatever was was taken down by Esper mid range and second place, which also looking at MTG Goldfish's popular decks is the second play deck Boros Convoke.
Convoke.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Boros Convoker. So it's Esper mid range and Boros Convoke is 1 and 2. And I just think it's funny that our local LGS had similar results for their top and first and second player.
Interesting. Okay. Um, cool.
I get sad when blue is dominating like the top played list. Like I do not like the fact that blue is so good.
Yeah, you and me both. I actually, so I was talking to Cody the other day, and I asked him what he was playing because he just got a new PC setup or a new
Oh,
monitor
cool.
setup or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are you playing?" And he told me that he's been playing Arena also. In quote, the new standard set is fucking awesome. I can finally play Control again and kill everyone with my lands. Ha ha ha.
Ha! That's such a terrible human being. Nah, Cody, I
Oh,
love you,
these
but I
these
hate
blue
blue.
players, huh?
I hate blue.
But
I've
you also cast the most blue out of anyone I play with.
I
You're
feel
if I
that
can't
I
beat them, join them.
yes, that's 100%. Um,
Yeah,
in Commander, but I never in 60 card formats ever played blue. I'm always on some sort of either white, Abzan or Orzov
yeah,
or Golgari. Like I live in those three colors in 60 card constructed. Um,
yeah,
I'd like to live on those colors in Commander, but just the tools in blue are too good to like not have available.
yeah. And you're right because when you do play blue, it's honestly it's normally more splashed just for value, card draw,
Or
and staples.
protection. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, we got a bad
that's fair.
feedback there.
Oh,
And we're back.
you know, it's,
Technology.
yeah. Was it like buzzing? Was it
Yeah.
buzzing? Yeah. I was working with a lot of electricity today. It's
Yeah,
probably
you
just
have
like,
extra
offloading.
static.
That's it. Oh my goodness. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit about Commander in terms of what's banned, what's not allowed, what's allowed. There's a few things we want to talk about it. So I think maybe let's start by just mentioning some banned cards. So you had mentioned today, um, you know, about banned in standard coming back, and maybe a
Banned
few
as
cards that
commander.
are banned as Commander. So I looked through the list today. There are not many legendary creatures that are banned that I don't think should be banned, other than Grizzlebrand and Golos. Those are the two cards that I think are okay to unban, or at least have, in the format.
What about
What's your view on
Leovold?
this? Fuck Leovold.
Do
No,
you think
fuck that.
Leovold? You don't think Leovold could be in the 99?
No, no, because if Leovold could be in the 99, then Hull Breacher could be in the 99.
True.
And and I would always say Hull Breacher should be unbanned because not everybody's doing bullshit with it. But I see how once you have it in your deck, you can, you know, by happenstance do bullshit. So the ban list ended up really looking like it was mainly things that either would end the game in a turn or keep people from playing, i.e., a lot of land removal.
But coalition victory.
Yeah,
What
I
about
don't think that should be
coalition
banned.
victory? I feel like that should not be banned.
Yeah, I don't think so either. There's and honestly, so if coalition victory is banned, I would say Approach of the Second Sun should be banned. Because if you're saying that this is a card that can be utilized to win on the spot, you just have to copy when you cast Approach and you win right there.
Well, isn't it
So
a cast? You have to cast it, so you can't technically win with a copy.
you cast it and copy it. The copy resolves first. And then the second one is cast from hand.
Oh my god! But hold on, what does the rule say exactly? If this is the second
All right.
time,
So if Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game,
but you
you
didn't
win
cast
the
the
game.
copy.
The copy was cast.
No, isn't are copies not cast?
Oh man, I've been through a few different scenarios where this did end the game. So this might be another cacophony minute. We're learning today, buddy. Let's see.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah,
Looking up
so
the
ultimately
rulings.
it resolved one time and then it resolves a second time and it was that second resolve was cast. So
A copy of a spell isn't cast. It's on the official rulings. A copy of a spell isn't cast, so it won't count as the first nor as the second approach of the second sun. The
whoa.
second approach of the second sun that you cast must be cast from your hand, but the first can have been cast from anywhere. So I guess you could cascade into it, which casts it, and then it gets put, and then you can cast it again. But yeah, if
Hmm.
you copy it, the copy is not counted as one or two of the cast.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So maybe it doesn't need to go on the list. I again, listen, we all play and there's so many rules in this that you don't catch them all.
I'm
But
surprised none of us run that.
I had it in RAF, but I never really played RAF much. It's again, I try to avoid cards like this. You know.
Yeah, I've also I feel like I at one point put it in something, but it just feels like such like a see that's exactly why I feel like I need to play blue for shit like this because if
Yes.
no one is playing blue and someone casts approach, it's essentially like okay, well at minimum you have you have 6 turns to live if they don't have any card draw to get it any sooner. Likely they you know what I mean? Likely they will. They're probably not
Yeah.
playing it in a mono white deck. So it's just like you need blue to stop that bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is fair. But it ultimately, in my head, it's always like one of those things where, like, well, if no one brings a gun to this fight, then we're all stuck with a bunch of knives. Uh, but yeah, sometimes someone shows up with this bullshit knife, and you just need a gun.
You can have a knife that shoots the blade out. They have spring-loaded knives.
That's it. Yeah, get some throwing knives. It can happen.
Also, my other could be in the 99 is Braid's Cabal Minion.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I get maybe why she's not in a commander worthy, but that's a pretty basic line. So at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. Like in a world of treasure tokens, bro, I'll give up one treasure token, whatever.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
just I would imagine it was banned as a commander because if you manage to ramp into her from the get-go, like let's say like off a dark ritual combo or something, you know what I mean? Like if you can get there
Mm.
turn 1 and then every turn like nobody can play anything
Yeah.
because
Soul Ring,
then
Jeweled Lotus,
it all
her.
just
Yeah.
gets ruined immediately. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You could one black, drop your Jeweled Lotus, tap for 4, get her out. Now the opponent's choosing between um they play a land whatever, but then on their next upkeep they have to sacrifice that one land they played
Yeah.
while you
Okay.
have your land. You know what I mean? Like so then you're ahead with just braids out. I could see why they didn't do that.
Yeah. But so that goes to reinforce the band as commander. You know, she could be in the 99. She's fine. That's not. But if you could Jeweled Lotus her out, maybe it's a problem. So ban her as commander, keep her in the 99. I agree with that. There was a there was another card, Sylvan Primordial, and I want your opinion on this. So it's 5 green, which is 7 mana, 6/8 with reach. Okay, stats. When Sylvan Primordial enters a battlefield, for each opponent, destroy target non-creature permanent that player controls. For each permanent destroyed this way, search your library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So, I mean, destroy 3 lands, get 3 forests for 7 mana. Why is this banned? What is this actually stopping?
So I know that this was in response to like Primeval Titan, which can get like two lands, and like this was switched to just forests. But the issue is that you're destroying a land. First of all, you just blink this. I would put this on my blink deck so fast. Now picture a game where this gets blinked because
Mm,
it's an ETB. So every time I blink it, everyone goes down a land and I go up 2 lands. So it is
okay,
tapped, but if I can blink it once or twice, then all of a sudden everyone's down 3 lands. I'm up 6 lands, and then the next, you know what I mean? Like that's just so much value, even if it gets destroyed right away.
okay. You sold it to me. I have 2 more cards I want to mention though,
Okay, we're
because you're doing a good job of explaining why they're on the list. So help me out here. Trade secrets. 1 blue. Target opponent draws 2 cards. Then you draw up to 4 cards. Okay. I answered my own question. So my thought of it was, so someone draws 2 cards, but then you have to draw 4 because it says then you draw, and I never
up
read
to
past that, but
4.
it says up to 4. So yeah, okay, I see. Because I was like, well, if you let someone do that, they're gonna mill you out, and you're gonna kill yourself. Um, so you don't even want to run trade secrets, but now that it's up to 4, okay, all right,
Yeah.
man, you're doing it. Um, why is Flash banned?
So Flash actually was banned and then unbanned and then banned. So Um, it's just like really good. I mean, it's just 2 mana. You put a creature out. Um,
And then you
you
sacrifice it unless you pay the mana cost. So it's just flashing out a creature. What's the issue with that?
just like the ETB and just I'm assuming that you just ETB because I believe this was tied with Protean Hulk. It was Flash Hulk was a very strong CDH deck, and Protean Hulk is um 7 mana to cast for a 6/6. When it dies, search your library for any number of creature cards with total mana value 6 or less, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. So it's turn 2, maybe even turn 1. You flash out Protean Hulk, it dies, and then you just get 6 mana value worth of creatures on turn one, which likely are either combo pieces or stacks pieces or something, and then it's just gross.
Okay, so I see. So you don't have to pay the mana cost. You just pay the two, get it out, get the deed done, and then let it sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this
And I'm
case, for the Protean Hulk, when it sacrifices is when it happens. Okay.
yeah, and I'm sure there's other cards that when they die are powerful, or like just the fact of getting the ETB off of it at all, and that just it's just because it only costs two and it's an instant, so you could literally play. You know what I mean? Like you play it right before someone else's turn's over, before your turn, first round of the game. You got like an insane ETB or an insane death trigger.
All right. I'm sold.
Yeah,
You're doing it. 100% success rate so far.
I'm the band
Uh,
lawyer.
all right. I got two more. Actually, one of them is not even a question. I wanted to mention I'd never seen this card before. Time Vault, which is a
Oh
two
yeah.
mana artifact. Tap to gain. It's a two mana artifact. Tap it to gain an additional turn after this one. Time Vault doesn't untap normally. To untap it, you must skip a turn. Time Vault begins tapped. So I'm assuming anything else can untap this, right? You could use any untap mechanic. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so you just tap this, you get an extra turn, and on your next turn, you just use any one of your permanents that untap something to untap this and get another turn. And
Yeah, it's just infinite
okay.
turns for like two mana essentially.
Okay. Didn't know that card existed. I was reading that. I laughed a little bit. Okay. Here's the real controversial one.
Oh god, all right.
Falling Star. It's two in a red,
Okay.
sorcery. Flip Falling Star onto the playing area from a height of at least 1 foot.
Already.
Star must turn at least 360 degrees or it has no effect. When Falling Star lands, it deals 3 damage to each creature that it touches. Any creature damaged by Falling Star that are not destroyed become tapped. What's the harm in this one? Is it just the flip mechanic?
Well, yeah, so there's two factors. One is that they don't like to do manual dexterity type cards. Like if somebody was in a wheelchair, they can't, flip this card from a height of at least a foot, you know what I mean? Like
Mm,
it could, or if they're, don't have use of their arms or something, they just want to keep it from like somebody with a disability being able to like not do a card because it randomly says that. And then also if people are playing this, like it kind of incentivizes you to like move your, like, spread your board state out so that you can't get hit by the fucking star.
okay.
You know what I mean? Because
All
like,
right.
who's to stop you from like, okay, I'm gonna cast this. Like, well, I'm gonna fucking put my cards over here on this table behind me. Good luck flipping it on from there. Like, what's, you know what I mean? Like, what's to stop you?
Well, maybe before you cast it, you go, all right, freeze, nobody touch your board.
Oh, sure,
You
yeah.
know?
No,
All
but
right,
I think
here's
go on.
go ahead.
It's
No,
just
no, I'm going to transfer something.
mostly because of just like people with disabilities not being able to do it.
Okay. So then the question is, even though it's technically not allowed in Commander, like silver bordered cards in Commander, would you be okay if I was to put it in a deck? If I ever was to bring that out, is that a card where you guys would be like, "Hey man, not cool, it's banned."
No, I mean, what does it do? It does three damage. Yeah,
To
three
whatever it
damage to
touches.
each creature it touches. Most of the time, I'm not scared of a lightning bolt most of the time. So like, besides tapping, though, I would say that three mana to tap everybody's creature. Oh wait, no, any creature damaged by falling star that's not destroyed, it's tapped. All right,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. I would say it's totally fine to house rule it into a game.
Okay. I have a little stack of cards that are not allowed in Commander, whether they be test cards, silver bordered cards, and such, that I would love to put in some decks. But it is a hairy situation. So maybe we'll slowly start to introduce them into our decks and see how it goes for science. But let's get into the silver bordered cards in Commander. What are your views on this? How do you feel about this? And what are the issues?
So okay, so this was this. this came up because I check Mark Rosewater, his Tumblr account. It's called Blogatog. He answers a bunch of questions all the time. Sometimes I find the insights very interesting, just because it's cool to like see some more of like he gives little insights into like the background of how they consider things and whatnot, and just asking the public's questions. But one of the most recent trends of conversation I've seen was discussing silver bordered cards, and another thing that came to mind as well was that there's a bordered card called Kark's Other Thumb, and I
Yes.
believe it's essentially just a reprint of Kark's Thumb. It does the same
Yes.
exact thing. It just has like
Yes.
a kind of funny name, but when you consider the fact that you have like tongue-in-cheek references and like murders, the most recent murder set, like you know what I mean, like they're not against having jokey names. Like it's jokey names aren't stuck in silver bordered anymore. Like they do references like that all the time. Even Kamigawa had "You're Already Dead," which is the "Omae wa mo shinderu." Like that it was just funny that they did that. But I think there's a bunch of silver bordered cards that probably could be legal. And then again, I'm reminded of when they dropped Unstable, I want to say it was, and the rules committee said, okay, for the month of December, silver border cards are legal. It's like if they could do that, they could just flip that switch on and off for a month, which I ultimately believe was just to help Wizards sell the set. Um, but still, I don't think during that month like anything was like broken. And yes, there's a lot of cards that could cause like rules issues, or like you're because a lot of the rulings there's no rulings on these cards. A lot of the time Mark Rosewater just says like whoever makes the best argument can win the ruling, but there are definitely cards that are very straightforward that like could work.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, so I'm just looking it up now. There are 472 silver bordered cards. That's a lot of cards that are just absolutely not even on the table for the most part for um, Magic. And I'm sure because I just checked silver bordered for the last set, Infinity. Weren't they all black bordered, but a lot of them couldn't be played?
Yeah, so that's what they did this time, is that, and again, I'm assuming to get regular players to buy this stuff, is that a lot of them there was an acorn symbol instead of the usual silver oval at the bottom, and the acorn
Right,
cards are not legal, and the regular border were, which is
right.
how we
So
got
that
like attractions and stickers in Commander and Legacy.
yeah. So for all intents and purposes, there's more than 472 silver bordered because there are some black bordered from Infinity that are. So
Yes.
we're talking 500, 600 cards that we can't touch. Are there any silver bordered that you've ever considered to put into a deck, but you felt, unable to because, not power. Listen, there's silver bordered cards where it's clear you're not putting that into a commander deck. But are there ever some that you were like, that's fair. I would like to run this. This fits my deck, but I can't?
I think it's like Baron von Count.
Yeah, Baron von Count. One black, red, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield with a doom counter on 5. Whenever you cast a spell with the indicated numeral from its mana cost, text box, power, or toughness, move it down 1 to the left. When the doom counter moves from 1, destroy target player and put that doom counter back to 5. So yeah, you have to cast things sequentially where there's a 5 on it, a 4 on it, a 3 on it, a 2 on it, a 1 on it, and then it destroys target player. And then it
I think
resets.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't think that's overpowered.
Not at all, and I don't understand why. Because there are other cards I could see being cautious back in like a couple years ago of cards that are like, oh, the number in the text box, or like the mana cost. But I feel like now we have even like the popular, what is it, cut down or whatever, the one that's like, oh, with total mana value equal to like power and toughness if they add up to 5. or
Yeah,
whatever. Like we're already
yeah.
doing things where we're looking at numbers in different ways beyond just what's printed. I don't feel like it's that bad, and really it would only, if it's in Commander, like who's you're already doing zany wacky things. I don't think it's that ridiculous to me. So I would unban that. That's one of the ones I would say.
Isn't that almost exactly like the blue Sphinx that says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may reveal your hand if you have mana value 1 to 6,
Yeah,
target opponent
Tempsis.
loses life? Yeah, I mean that's almost the same thing, but
Yeah.
honestly, the Baron is harder to do because you have to cast a 5, cast a 4, cast a 3, cast a 2. So that in my opinion would be harder. So yeah, unban him. But that opens up the floodgate. Now, a commander I've always wanted, well, not always wanted, it's fairly new, but Rainbow Dash
Yeah.
from the My Little Pony. It's 1 red white, 2/2, flying haste Pegasus. Whenever a creature you control with flying and or haste attacks, you get 20% cooler. And that means you start at 0% coolness. Sonic Rainbow says you can tap it if you're at least 100% cool, or if you control, you know. Okay, so let me reread this. Whenever a creature you control with flying and or haste attacks, you get 20% cooler. So you need to attack with something with haste or flying 5 times. That'll give you Sonic Rainboom, where you can tap it, and if you have the 100% coolness, you add Wooburg, draw a card, and reset your coolness. I mean, that's not even powerful. That's
I
a
think that
basic
could be
thing.
fairly powerful.
You have to swing for 5 creatures, and for 5 creatures swinging, all you get is 5 mana, 1 card, and that's it.
But once you're it's whenever a creature attacks only costs 3. So turn 1 you play like Monastery Swift Spear. Turn 2 you play some other hasty thing. Turn 3 you put this out. You swing with 3. You're already at 60% coolness. Then the next
Ooh,
turn you swing with the other 2. Now you're at 100, and then you tap for Wooburg. So now you have 5 mana on turn 4 in addition to your other mana, and you draw a card. I don't think this is like breaking the bank. I'm not saying that it's
right.
like very strong, but I think it's stronger than you think.
When you put it like that, because I always saw it as, all right, it comes at 0 coolness. Maybe you get 20% or 40% cooler. Then at that point people know, like, set up something, get rid of it. I don't see myself getting it 100% cool until at least 3 or 4 turns after she's cast. So I didn't think this was that powerful. I see what you mean in a perfect setup where she comes out turn 3, turn 4 you're at 60, turn 5 you hit it. But
No,
I
turn 3 you're at
I don't know.
60 because she has haste too.
Right. But that means you need to have dropped a 1 drop, a 2 drop, and a 3 drop. It
Yeah,
means
so
your
you're
hand
building
is
low to the
small.
ground. Yeah.
Yeah. So your hand's small. So you get this 5 mana and you draw 1 card, and you can't even do too much because you
Yeah, you're
already
in 5
dropped your.
colors though. You're in 5 colors.
Which is stressful for me. I hate 5 colors. I hate it. I hate it. But I always wanted to build it because I always wanted Haste Tribal. So
I
that would
think you
that
could
was
do some
honestly my
strong
goal.
things with this.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Um,
Also think it should be legal. It's definitely not overpowered. Because to me,
right.
coolness, 20% coolness, what's the difference between that and like, oh, this costs 5 energy to cast? I mean, if you consider like, okay, 1 energy is 20% cool. You know what I mean? Like, how is that any different? It's just because it's called coolness and it's at a percentage instead of like a counter that's like interactable. I think it's
Right.
reasonable. It's not that far fetched from other things we already do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if it did enter as a black border, I think it would be built. I don't think it would be a problem. I think it would just be just another commander. Because I mean, I always go back to True Lane, the first like brawl
Teller of
deck that was
Tales?
built. Yeah, it's like that card is so powerful. That is such a bullshit card, and like that's just allowed. You can build it if you want.
Yeah.
So if that's allowed, I think Rainbow Dash would be okay. But there are a few others. I had built a homunculus deck, and there was a homunculus card in Silver Border where you had to keep your hand on the table and it was a homunculus, but if you took your hand off, it would die.
I don't know what that is. That sounds great.
Yeah, that was off of not Infinity, the one prior to that, and I loved it, and it would have fit my homunculus deck perfectly. I wanted to do it, but again, it's not allowed, and it wouldn't have been powerful. It would have been fun to have me stuck with my hand on the table, and I couldn't run it. So I'd like to see them kind of chill out with this whole you can't have silver bordered cards. Um, I don't know. How about the attractions and everything? I know you're
Yes,
investigating.
I'm putting.
What have you learned about that so far? What's your view on that stuff? Because
I
that
mean,
is
it
allowed.
seems yeah silly not to use them. It's just a ton of it's a ton of dice rolling cards. Every time you visit an attraction, you roll a die to do something with the attraction. So, um, uh, especially when you're in Mardu, because you're missing blue. I don't know if there's like a ton of rolling cards in blue. I feel like there's a lot of support for rolling in blue, but
Yeah,
I feel like it's a no-brainer to put them into my Doctor House deck because they're not in the deck. It's a separate deck that you have to run.
yes, yes,
Um, so that's cool. And I like the idea of that deck is already going to be like kind of gimmicky and like quirky, fun. So
yeah,
why not do fun attraction kind of stuff?
yeah. I'm really excited that you're even considering it. I'd love to see you actually follow through with it because until you build it, it might not fit your deck. But I had considered building one. I ended up bailing on it because it's just too complex for me. My I have a problem when things get too complex in Magic, and I
Oh, I love
enjoy
that.
complexity, but I have a limit, you know.
I love
So
it.
yeah, so that's something that's iffy for me. But I am excited to see how it works out for you, and then actually see it put into practice. What is attractions doing in Commander? That'll be. I mean, we could do a whole episode on that after we play that shit. Like, how did it work? How is this weird mechanic? And is that something that could come back as in a real mechanic? Do you think they would ever do that? Because we already have energy, where that's a whole nother resource set to the side. Do you think they would do another deck
With
set to the side?
attractions?
But I
Or with
mean, not
anything set this. Well, I mean, I don't know. I
yeah,
feel like that's design space that they're definitely looking into because companion is in a separate thing. Attractions are a separate thing. I mean, again, also from Infinity, but the a sticker sheet is legacy legal and
yeah,
also a separate thing.
yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised because I know that Yu-Gi-Oh does that a lot. Like Yu-Gi-Oh started with like the special summons, not special summons, the extra summons. I don't remember what they're called, but there was like a side deck built with that, and then Magic already kind of does it as well with like the wish cards interacting with the sideboard. And I know they
yeah,
don't work in Commander, but they're not against the idea of doing special zones, and I'm not against the idea of them doing more of that type of thing. Like, hey, you could dip into this pool if you're running this specific mechanic.
yeah, yeah. I'm all for that. And if especially if they're able to curate what the outside of the battlefield, outside of the game means. Even if like they do a space set and they're like, go get some cards from the moon, and okay, go to your moon deck and pull
Yeah,
out,
and grab your moon. Yeah, your space alien card.
yeah, yeah, or the asteroid from space, whatever it is. I'm all for that. I like it. Um, okay, so before we get off for this week, I want to take a minute to actually do some real brew with you. I have been looking at the Fallout cards. My favorite mechanic from it has been this junk token.
Yeah,
And I spent the entire day looking into what are the best things to do about this, what are the best commanders, what are the best cards for this, and how do you actually make a junk token not junk? I want to make this junk
yeah,
treasure, you
trash
know
to
what I mean?
treasure, bro.
Yeah. So I took some time and I looked at it. And so ultimately, there aren't too many junk cards. There's like 6 or 7 of them made from it. It's kind of limited, but I want to do it. I want to have a junk deck. So I looked into this a little bit. Listen, there's a lot of cards. There's 2 real ways we could take junk. So a junk token says a junk token, you tap it, exile the top card of your library, you may cast it. It's ultimately kind of a free draw, but it also is a sacrificing a token. It also is just an artifact out there that you can get rid of. So the 2 ways I looked at it as you can do an artifact deck where you want to sacrifice artifacts, and these junk tokens that would just exile a card get you more value than what they do. The other way to build it is to exile cast things from exile and utilize that. Now, with that, if you were to build junk, would you go the way of I want to make a ton of artifacts, I want to sacrifice these junks to get more value than what it is? Or would you go, I want to cast things from exile and get value from exile casts?
I'd probably go and honestly, the first thing I thought of with Jund tokens was Prosper, who I know is just like a very powerful, I want to say like CDH caliber commander. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I think I would just abuse the casting from exile,
Yeah.
abilities, because there's also Warhammer 40K had some of those, and that just seems like a fun way to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so I agree with you. After looking through everything, my initial thought was let's use these artifacts for something. But the exile casts are the best. Now the color options are either Rakdos, Mono Red, Boros, or Mardu. And I wanted to fight for a while and say Boros is the best option for that. But like you said, Prosper is an important card. There's also the new Braids, which says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares that type. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. So a junk token is a great way to turn this thing that maybe would get you 1 card exiled to suddenly you just sacrifice a junk token. Everybody has to sacrifice something. If they don't, you could possibly draw 3 cards and deal 6 damage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of black, not to mention some of the cards that make junk tokens are black. So you can go red, you can go Boros, you can go Rakdos, but really you have to go Mardu to get
Yeah,
the
Mardu's the
full
way.
use. Now, looking it up, there's really only 2 commanders in Mardu that you can do this with. One of them is Jan Jensen, the Chaos
Yeah.
Crafter. So it's just red, white, black with haste for a 3/3. You can tap them to sacrifice an artifact creature, create 2 treasure tokens. Or you can tap them to sacrifice a non creature artifact, like a junk token, and you create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. So you would use him more to possibly turn a junk into creatures, turn creatures into mana to cast more things, to do your stuff. I liked him, but honestly, my favorite commander for a junk token is actually Ishin, 2 heavens as 1.
Okay. Not what I was
So
expecting at all.
it has Mardu, it has 3/4, and it says if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It's not exactly using the junk tokens, but a lot of the creatures that you can put into here possibly can use that. I don't see myself using Jan Jensen to really be sacrificing a junk to bring in this and that if I just want to cast stuff from exile. So I think cast a bunch of cool stuff with him. Like, I mean, even okay, Lyelia, the Blade Reforged, is 2 and a red, 2/2 with haste. When Lyelia, the Blade Reforged attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So right off the bat, Ishin says, hey, you're going to get that 2 times. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from your library and or graveyard, put a 1 counter on Lyelia. So Ishin just says, okay, well, you're going to exile 2, and you're going to get 2/1/1 counters on it instead. There's a few cards like this where inadvertently Ishin is going to help. So that's my
Is it
hot take, is
enough though?
actually do it. It's not enough. It really isn't.
Because the consistency of being able to turn the token into like creatures and then turn the creatures into treasure. I don't know. I feel like Jan Jensen is the way.
That's fair, and it very well could be. I ended up I was spread out so wide looking at all the ways I could build this because the problem is there's a lot of Boros cards that I almost wanted to say were the best commander, but like I said, at the end of the day, there's Prosper and um, there's also that card from Fallout, the Rakdos person that makes the junk tokens, and my list is so long of cards I looked at. So I spent like 2 hours just screenshotting cards. But there's the bombardment card. It's 1 red and black. And whenever she enters the battlefield or attacks, you make a junk token. Mm, not up on here. Okay. Well, you need the black. So that's ultimately what I'm saying is I keep on looking at Boros and you need the black. Oh fuck, where the I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so here
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bop.
let me just point out a few of the Boros cards that were like, oh, maybe this is the thing. Pia Nalar, Consul of Revival. Whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. I mean, that's awesome. There's also Bell Borka, the Spectral Surgeon. You can note a mana value of each card as it's put into exile. Bella's power is equal to the greatest number noted at the beginning of your upkeep. Exile the top card of your library. You may cast that this turn. So it'll grow it, and you're going to constantly exile. There's Oskir, the Reconstructor, that you can sacrifice artifacts. Target creature you control gets +2/+0. So if you have these junk tokens, that you can turn them into power. Commander Liara Port here. Whenever you attack, spells you cast from exile this turn cost X less to cast, where X is the number of players being attacked. Exile the top X cards of your library. Until the end of turn, you may cast those spells. So that's just swing with your little 1/1s. Everything's going to be 3 less to cast. You're going to get 3 cards into exile, and you can cast them.
Yep.
I mean,
Your Bone Horde Dracusar
yeah, man.
casting things
So
from exile.
Boros just has so many things. And I mean, really, I think the biggest thing is Quintorius would be, if I was to build this, Quintorius would honestly be my commander in the 99. Because everything you cast, so Quintorius Khan, whenever you cast a spell from exile, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. Bro.
I think you're
That's
running
everything you want to do
Mardu.
with
You
this
have
turn.
to run Mardu. I don't
You
know. Give
have
me.
to. You
I
have
feel like
to.
you have to run Mardu. It's too much value that you're missing out in black.
Exactly. And that's why I'd have to go Ishin. And when you're building this, so ultimately, as you go this way, we now agree you really want to do things from exile over the artifact stuff.
Yeah.
While you're doing things from exile, you can do Cascade and Discover. And there's a ton of Cascade and Discover cards. So I'm not even going to list any of them, but just those mechanics themselves are perfect for this. There's a ton of cards that, like Urbrask, just your opponents, instead of drawing exile, they're a card from the top of their library. That way they have to cast it, but also for you, you draw a card and exile. It's all value, it's all fun. But since you're building around the Quintorius, you want to put in Call the Gatewatch, which is a 3 mana tutor for a planeswalker. You want to put in Arena Rector, which is when it dies, tutor for a planeswalker.
Yeah, I have that
You want to
out
put
too.
you want to put in Jeru. That way, when it enters, you go get a planeswalker, and just make sure that he's out. That's a thing, and then protect it. And I believe Jeru also says deals one less damage to planeswalkers that are attacked, so it'll protect him while also getting him out there. So, um, and again, as I was looking through this, there are so many cards that have been put out over the past few years. There's this card, Nalfeshni, the
From
Beast Demon
Warhammer.
with big titties.
Yeah,
So
I
it's a
thought of
six
that
mana.
too.
Yeah. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, copy it.
Yeah,
You may cast new
huge,
targets for the copy.
huge.
Oh my gosh. So,
Definitely go
uh,
Mardu.
yeah. And now, hear me out with this one. Knowledge Pool. Drop a Knowledge Pool, and it says whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it. If that player does, he or she may cast another non-land card exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying its mana cost. So now
You just
everyone's stuck in
circumvent
this
that
pool.
completely.
Yeah, but you'll suddenly you're casting every cast is from exile.
That's a me type card to put in there.
I know
I'm
that's why I was excited
surprised
to
you
mention
even considered it.
it.
That's definitely something I would do.
Yeah, Knowledge Pool has
Rubbing
shown its
off on
value
you.
time and time again. So
Though to be fair, you
there
did
is,
have the knowledge pool deck.
yeah, but in modern, and you you scarred me for life with that. I think I've told that
I
story.
taught you a valuable lesson that day.
Yeah, no, man, go ahead, go for the combo. Just if you got it in hand, cast it, and I cast it, and you mana typed it. It was gut wrenching, but yeah. So I found it. Boom Scrapper is
There it
that
is.
Rakdos. So one black red. Whenever Boom Scrapper enters the battlefield or attacks, lose a life, create a junk token. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Boom Scrapper. That could be the commander. Prosper could be the commander. But again, I think you want Mardu.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but you're saying you would go Jan Jensen over Ishin?
Yeah,
Okay.
just seems
All
like
right.
more consistently valuable to me.
I
Also,
don't
isn't
see
Ishin
myself.
5 mana?
Maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. Ishin. No, it's Ishin's 3 mana.
Oh shit.
Same
Okay.
same mana value as Jansen, except Ishin's actually a 3/4, where Jansen is a 3/3.
But Jansen has haste and can do its thing right away. I don't know.
Right
I
away,
don't feel
yes.
like there's enough. I don't think there's enough. I don't know. Maybe just you could
Yeah.
swap them out. You could do both. The deck stays the same. The commander isn't really influencing the deck decision here. It's just to cover the
Yeah.
colors. So who's to say you don't run Rogak and Timna as partners as your nine, to get Mardu?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here's another cool card that I didn't think would have fit this deck, but would. Arcane Bombardment, which is 4 red enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. Then copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of copies without paying the mana cost. So Arcane Bombardment is just a compounding ability of casting things from exile. And it doesn't use the junk tokens, but if you are going from the exile cast, I mean, with Quintarius out, if you let's say you drop Bombardment, you get 3 or 4 instants and sorceries, and you drop Quintarius, your next instance of sorcery cast can possibly deal 10 damage to each opponent, and you gain 10 life because each one of them cast in that storm manner is gonna get a Quintorius trigger. So that's a big one. But man, I guess what I'm saying is I'm gonna build a junk deck for sure,
Yeah.
100%. And oh, okay. Shard of the Void Dragon,
Oh, also for
4 black,
40k.
black, black, 40k. It's a Ceton 7/7 flying creature. When Shard of the Void Dragon attacks, each opponent sacrifices a non-land permanent. It also has whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, put 2/1/1 counters on Shard of the Void Dragon. So it's just this big monster that's going to have people sacrificing non-land permanents, but also anytime you crack a junk, uh, it's just going to get bigger. So that's like that could be not a win con, but a
It's
massive
in there.
threat that can bring it down. Yeah,
Though I honestly end up cutting cards like that most of the time.
yeah,
It's too
but
expensive and it's slow
yeah,
and it has no protection and it
but
doesn't
let's
do
say
anything when it enters.
you pop 2 treasures and a junk token, and it gets 6/1/1 counters on it.
Doesn't I don't know. Just it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just
It's not flashy enough.
when I'm doing cuts, like when I'm trying to cut to add like things, I tend to cut those kinds of cards for like value, like like low costed value.
All right, so let me hit your power level then. Mondrak Glory Dominus.
Yeah, definitely goes
Whenever you
in.
make a junk, make 2,
Yep,
and then you can sacrifice 2 of the junk tokens to give it indestructible. That way, you can continue to make junk tokens.
that goes in for sure.
Yeah. All right. I have a fucking 100 cards that I can mention, but I'll just do one more
All
weird
right,
one.
last card.
Help me out. Flame Wars Streetwise Operative, which is a Optimus Prime card or the Transformers. So Flame War is a living metal. As long as it's your turn, this vehicle is also a creature. It has menace and death touch. It's a 2/1. Whenever Flame War deals combat damage to a player, exile that many cards from the top of your library face down, put an intel counter on each of them, and then convert Flame War. So the other side of it is Flame War Brash Veteran. Um, Sacrifice another artifact, put a 1/1 counter on Flame War, and convert it. Activate only as a sorcery. You could pay 1 and discard your hand, put all exiled cards you own with intel counters on them into your hand. So this is just something you could just kind of hit and do your thing and exile a little card.
But you're not
And
casting from exile.
ah, yeah, you're just putting them into hand from exile.
Yeah, so I don't think it would really work with the theme.
Okay, fuck that card. But you could put both Durettis in your deck.
True. You could do that. You could do that.
You could do that. Okay, that's fair. Listen, I'm gonna end up building this. This is there's a lot of options. We'll see. Atali, throw Atali's in there. Well, I guess really the other one, the newest one, has green. So put in Atali. That'll cast things from exile.
Yeah, Guff rewrites history.
Guff. Yeah. All right. Listen, I love it. I'm excited for Fallout. Can we say that you got your deck
Yeah.
on here? Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. You sent the picture yesterday that you got your whole deck list. Have you ripped them open and just rubbed them all over the place?
I opened one just to open the collector sample pack to get like a small bump.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually done that. Tomorrow I have people coming over, so I'm gonna go grab some sleeves and I'm gonna sleeve them all up and we'll play them together.
Nice. Okay.
And then
Damn. You
they
had
might
so much
die
shit.
immediately after.
I would have just ripped them all over. They would have been
Ah,
all over my room. I'd be sweating just.
I wanted to get at least one game in with them whole before I start tinkering.
Yeah. Well, definitely let me know how it goes. Let me know what deck you think was the coolest. Are you just going to kind of give them to everyone, and it's going to be a whole
Yeah, which
Fallout
is
against
kind of
Fallout?
random. Yeah, do a Fallout exclusive kind of thing and
Yeah.
see what's good.
Collect some info from that because I
We'll
am very
do.
curious to see how they all do against each other.
Ripping out house for the dice rolling, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah. If I get them on Friday, I'm going to try to do the same with Connor and Melissa. We're to at least one game. We all take one of the decks and give it a play. That way I can justify ripping it all up myself. So awesome, man.
All right, sounds like that's the bottom of the glass.
Oh, well, hold on.
There it is.
That's the bottom of the glass. All right, brother, you have a great weekend.
You too.
I'm going to try to do the same, and I will meet you here same time next week, man.
All right, rock on.
Take it easy.